Hi everyone, I've decided to change tack a little bit on what I'd originally planned for this video. So I'm going to give a bit more context around this kind of core element of floating and balancing kind of business in the water, and why I think it's so valuable for, especially for adult swimmers. And then I'll do a real brief introduction to moving in the water. So my kind of swimming history is my uncle owned the Wilkinson Swim School based out of Newtown School Pool in the 80s. So I kind of learned as a baby, and then I was there, and then I swam competitively till I was about 15 or 16. Then I had a break, came back to swimming in my early 20s, just in a training capacity for fitness. And then I had another break, and then I came back into it when I was training for Ironman. But the past 10 years, I just haven't swum because I've had this long-term kind of chronic injury, which has meant any kind of swimming position in the water has felt horrific. Which is kind of funny because my coaching in the last 10 years has gone like that, and my swimming's gone like that. Anyway, I'll come back to that. So this kind of theory was originated by an American coach named Bill Boomer. You can look him up on YouTube. I think there's a couple of clips on there. And I first became aware of it in my early days of coaching, when I was coaching like under 12s. But the idea of kind of doing this awareness and softness and floating and balance in the water with a bunch of kids that just wanted to move and make noise just wasn't really that appealing. So I never really kind of looked into it at that stage. Plus I was young and wasn't really that introspective. So anyway, the past couple of years, my land-based movement practice has been very much in this kind of realm, this kind of slowness, awareness, and just understanding kind of core balance on your feet and where movement comes from. So when I looked back at his stuff a couple of years ago, and then more intensely during lockdown, everything kind of clicked that what he was kind of getting at was the same thing that I was doing on land, but he was doing it in water. And that's when it made a lot more sense. Now the problem was I still felt horrific in the water, plus it was going into winter, and so I didn't get a chance to practice it. But this past summer we spent about 8-9 days in Rotorua, and I was in the lakes for an hour in the morning, an hour at night. And I was just playing. I started, like the first couple of days, I was just amazed at how good water felt again. And I was just mucking around, diving down, rolling over, just all of the stuff. And then I started to click in on kind of day 3 of, oh, this is my chance to kind of practice this kind of work that I've been studying and get a feel for it myself. And so I spent probably the next 5 days it was still playful, but it was with a little bit more purpose. And having been someone who has swum for 40 years, trained a lot, I started to see things that I'd never even considered before. And all of the drills, the stuff that I'd learned, everything just started to make a lot more sense, because I was just far more aware of my position and kind of my core movement in the water. And it was an amazing experience. Like learning these things as an adult is always special, because it's like you're a kid again, and it's like, oh, this new thing. And that's kind of what has driven me this term to really kind of dive into it. And now I feel comfortable enough that I've experienced myself that I can test it on you guys. Now, I made a little mistake, which was I went into it with you guys last week with a purpose, and the purpose was we start here with a dead float, and then we try and move ourselves into swimming position. But what I learned from doing it with one group was that that's not that inspiring. So what I would do when we do it again, we want to introduce this kind of stuff is best done in a playful manner. So I'm just exploring kind of the situation that I'm in. So I start with completely dead floating, then I might roll over and do the same thing on my back, then I might play around on my side, I might change depth a little bit, but it needs to come from an angle of exploration as opposed to being given a set task. because then we miss all of this stuff. Anyway, so traditional kind of training, drills, all that sort of stuff, that's what we do in the water. It's kind of here. But what I've found is this basically what floating is slowing down. Everything's slowing down. Your heart rate's slowing down, your breathing's slowing down, everything's relaxing. And what it does is it creates space to see things that you would not have seen if you were in motion, because everything's too busy. And that's what we're doing. So this kind of traditional stuff, we are going in a little bit deeper, and we're able to then turn that traditional stuff we do into kind of steroids if we devote enough time to it and we're relaxed and we look at it as a bit of an exploration. And that's why we do this. And we'll be doing a little bit more of it as well. It's not the be all and end all, it's just another tool to help you kind of enjoy your life in the water a lot more. Now, movement along the same lines. So, this is me talking even last year and even the start of this term. Movement is all about creating pressure. Okay, so we need to understand pressure in the water in order to manipulate ourselves and move. But I would encourage you to go back a step from that, and just in your own strokes, doesn't matter what strokes, start building a bit of a map or relationship between your key joints. So what's the relationship between my right hand and my left hand when I'm swimming? What's the relationship between my elbows? What's the relationship between my shoulders? What's the relationship between my arms and my legs, or my hands and my feet? So start building a little bit of a picture and a map as to what those connections are. It might be as simple as, here's what my dominant hand does, what does my non-dominant hand do? What are the positions I'm getting myself into? Because that map that you start creating is going to help you when we do more kind of task-based things like sculling, or sculling in this position, or this drill. Hopefully that video has kind of shed a little bit more light into where this has come from. I think that is it. See you this week.